Hi guys, this is Zach from Watches on You, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the TAG Heuer Formula 1 Automatic Chronograph. So now, let's take this watch down to the table and get a closer look at it. Okay guys, so let's take a closer look at the TAG Heuer Formula 1 Automatic Chronograph. So, first off, I'm going to go over this watch's stainless steel case. Now the case is 43 millimeters wide, which is good for a chronograph. It's not 45 is too big for me, but so 43 is it's about a-okay. Now the case is done fairly well. There's good brushing on tops of the lugs and there's polishing on the sides. The main case is done very well actually. And the one thing about this watch though that I would say brings it down is definitely this bracelet and clasp. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there right now, it's crap. I mean, if you're spending this much on $22,850 on a TAG Heuer automatic chronograph, you should not have a pressed metal clasp. No watch above like $600-700 should have a pressed metal clasp. It just shows bad on the quality front, and really almost all brands have gotten over this at this high of a price point, so I have no clue why TAG Heuer decided it was a good idea to put this on here, but they did. Now, that being said, the finishing on this piece is done very well, if you just ignore the bracelet. I mean, the main bracelet, though, I will say is decent, I'd say, but you can get watches well under $1,000 that have equivalent bracelets, so it's not anything special, I'd say. The main case, though, is done very well. You can see it does look very nice. I love the brushed bezel. It blends in very, very nicely, and I love how it's different from an aluminum insert. A lot of watches use aluminum inserts, and this watch goes away from that, so I really like how they did that, and I personally love steel bezels that don't have inserts. So, good for them on that. Okay, so now moving on to the dial of this piece. As you can see, it's your quintessential chronograph dial. You have 3 subdials right there, and I really love how they put those nice silver chrome rings around the subdials. I think that looks very, very nice. And you can see that the top subdial up at 12 o'clock is the minute subdial for the chronograph. The subdial at 9 o'clock is your running second, so those are just going no matter what, even if the chronograph's on, they'll still be running. If it's not on, they'll still be running. So at 6 o'clock, then you have your hour subdial. That goes up to 12 hours, which is typical of most chronographs, which is a great feature to have. And it also has a date window at 3 o'clock. Now, one little nitpick on the date wheel is I really wish that had a black dial. A black background. Their Carrera models have black backgrounds on the date, and I think it looks a lot nicer. Not really sure why they wouldn't do that on the Formula 1. I mean, it is a cheaper collection, so that is what I'm guessing that's all about. But again, I really wish that they put a black dial on that. That's a real nitpick, but that's one thing I would prefer to see. So, now the movement in this piece, they'll say it's the Calibre 16. Now, that is not a TAG Heuer movement. Despite what they may say, it is not an in-house movement. It is really a generic over-the-shelf movement. Now, that definitely brings down the value of this piece, especially since it's $2,850. I think they would have, not necessarily, I mean, that is a cheap price to make a full in-house chronograph movement, but I wish they would just come clean with it, as most other manufacturers will say, yep, it's an ETA movement or whatever. TAG Heuer doesn't like to do that. They like to call them Calibre 7, Calibre 16, when really they're all generic movements. So, to operate the chronograph now, use the top pusher right there with the red on there. I really love the red accent on that pusher, actually. It's very nice. The action on this is great. And you can see it's very smooth going around. Nice red tip second hand, I like that. I love the red accents on this style, it just makes it pop a bit more. Same with the tachymeter right there on the bezel. Now, if I stop it with here, you can then reset on the bottom, and it just flies right back. Love that action, feels great. Now, one other thing I would like to mention about this movement is it has they say about 42-hour power reserve. Now, I'm assuming that means whether the chronograph is on or off, but I still think that's a little weird because most manufacturers will just say, no matter what, the non-chronograph operating time. And they kind of do the same thing on the Carrera Twin Time, where they say it has 42 to 46-hour power reserve. So I feel like the people that are kind of writing their specifications for their watches are the same ones that wrote the owner's manual for the Lamborghini Diablo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check Doug DeMuro's review out of that car, and you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. They wrote some crazy things in there. But, so continuing on with this piece, let's go to a wrist shot. So, on the wrist, this watch, it's pretty heavy. I mean, being stainless steel chronograph, it's not overly heavy. It's basically what you'd expect, but it's fairly heavy, so I mean, if you have a smaller wrist or something and you don't like big heavy watches, this maybe isn't the one for you, because it's also quite thick, as you can see. It's not overbearingly thick again, but it's a little pretty sizable. It's about typical for a chronograph, so I tend to like smaller watches. This being a 43, that's a bit above what I'd like to see. I like a good 40 millimeter. So I have a 7-inch wrist for reference, so just take that for your recommendation there. And you can see it fits my wrist pretty well. I'd say I'd like it smaller, though. I'm just a fan of small watches, but that's just me. The one thing, again, going down on this watch is the bracelet. I mean, TAG Heuer and the Formula 1, even though it's their bottom collection, they need to step it up a bit. You should not be selling a $2,800 watch with pressed metal. I said this earlier, and I mean, I still really can't believe TAG Heuer did that. I think it's just bad on the quality. So if I got this, I'd for sure end up changing out the bracelet for a leather strap or something. But I mean, you might be fine with that. I just really think that if you're spending this money, you should not have to deal with that, especially in the time we are now, where it's so easy to manufacture metal parts. So in conclusion here, this watch is available here at JB Hudson. They lent us this piece for their review for a price of $2,850. They're an AD of TAG Heuer, and I think that price is, I mean, it's a bit high. We're going to leave links in the descriptions for some places where you can see the prices there, but I mean, you can probably get the price down a little bit, but I think that the TAG Heuer Formula 1 line is a bit overpriced. You can get cheaper watches like this for well below this price with ETA chronograph movements. You can get some around the $1,800 mark, which is definitely, I'd say, more suited to I'd say maybe a little more for a piece like this, because the case is done well. So I'd say this piece would be more around the $2,000 mark, not quite $2,800. I think that's a bit dear. So if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.